Hello everyone, and welcome back to Timeless Stories. Today, I want to ask you something simple. When you turn on a light, charge your phone, or connect to Wi-Fi, do you ever stop and wonder, who made all of this possible? Most people say Edison. But the truth is far more fascinating and far more heartbreaking. Because behind every light that has ever glowed in the dark, behind every signal traveling invisibly through the air, there is one man. A man who was cheated, laughed at, left penniless, and died alone. And yet, his ideas power the entire world to this day. His name was Nikola Tesla, and today on Timeless Stories, we are going to follow his incredible journey. From a small village in Croatia to the streets of New York City, and discover why this brilliant, misunderstood genius may be the most important person you have never truly known. As always, this story is also your English class. Listen carefully. You will hear new words, powerful phrases, and sentence structures that will help you speak and think in English more naturally. And before we begin, write in the comments where you are listening from and what time it is in your country right now. Now, let's begin. It was July 10th, 1856. In a tiny village called Smiljan, in what is now Croatia, a child was born during a lightning storm. The midwife, the woman helping with the birth, looked out at the flashing sky and whispered nervously, "This child will be a child of darkness." His mother looked at her calmly and replied, "No, he will be a child of light." Her name was Duka Tesla. She never went to school a day in her life. But she had a brilliant mind. She invented small tools to make housework easier. She memorized long poems and entire books. And she passed something rare and precious to her son: the ability to see the world differently from everyone else. Nikola grew up in that small village surrounded by mountains, rivers, and fields. From the very beginning, he was curious about everything. As a young boy, he once tried to build a tiny water wheel from sticks and leaves, hoping to capture the energy of a stream. It failed, but Tesla didn't cry. He just tried again. One evening, when Nikola was about 5 years old, he was sitting by the fire, stroking his cat, a beautiful black cat named Macaque. As his fingers moved through the fur, he noticed something strange. Tiny blue sparks danced across the cat's back, crackling in the dark room. Tesla stared at those sparks. He didn't know the word yet, but he was looking at electricity for the very first time. Then tragedy arrived. Tesla had an older brother named Dane, beloved by the whole family, gifted and full of promise. One afternoon, Dane fell from a horse. He died. Nikola was only 7 years old. After that, the house felt heavier, quieter. Young Nikola withdrew into books, into his imagination, into the strange world inside his own mind. In a way, losing his brother pushed Tesla deeper into himself, and deeper into the ideas that would one day change history. As a student, Tesla was extraordinary. He could calculate difficult math problems in his head without writing a single number. He could memorize entire textbooks. His teachers were amazed, and sometimes frightened by what he could do. But Tesla's greatest gift was also his greatest burden. He dreamed too big for the world around him. One day at school, his teacher showed the class a photograph of Niagara Falls, the massive, roaring waterfall on the border of the United States and Canada. Tesla stared at that photograph for a long time. Then he raised his hand and said quietly but confidently, "One day, I will use those waterfalls to generate electricity and light up entire cities." The classroom went silent. Then some students laughed. The teacher smiled politely and moved on. But Tesla was not joking. He was not dreaming carelessly. He had seen something, not with his eyes, but with his mind, and he would not let it go. Later, at the Austrian Polytechnic School in Graz, Tesla's professors showed the students a direct current motor, a machine that converted electricity into movement. The professor declared it was a perfect machine. Nothing could improve it. Tesla raised his hand again. "I believe it can be improved," he said. "In fact, I think there is a completely different way to move electricity. A better way." The professor laughed. The class laughed. But that moment planted a seed in Tesla's mind that would grow into his greatest invention. Not everyone understood Tesla's vision. Not yet. Tesla's years in school were not easy. He worked so hard that his health began to fail. He suffered what doctors called a nervous breakdown, a complete collapse from exhaustion and stress. He lost funding. He lost support. There were days when he wasn't sure if he had a future at all. But one winter evening in Budapest, something happened. Tesla was walking in a park with a friend, watching the sun set over the city. He was reciting poetry aloud, something he often did to rest his mind. And then, without warning, a vision appeared in his mind. Not a dream, not a vague feeling, a complete, detailed image of a new kind of motor, one that used alternating current, or AC, instead of the standard direct current everyone used. He grabbed a stick and drew the design right there in the dirt of the park. "There it is," he whispered. "There it is." His friend stared at the drawing in the dirt, confused. Tesla looked up with fire in his eyes. "I have solved it," he said. "This motor will change the world." In 1884, Nikola Tesla stepped off a boat in New York City. He was 28 years old. He had 4 cents in his pocket, a small package of his own poetry, a few mathematical calculations, and an extraordinary mind. He also had a letter addressed to the most famous inventor in America, Thomas Edison. The letter read simply, "I know 2 great men. One is you. The other is this young man." When Tesla met Edison, something interesting happened. 2 geniuses stood face to face, and they were completely different. Edison was a businessman. He believed in hard work, in money, in what already existed. Tesla believed in ideas that didn't exist yet. Edison offered Tesla a challenge: improve my electrical system, and I will pay you $50,000. Tesla accepted. He worked 18-20 hours a day, redesigning Edison's generators and motors. After months of exhausting labor, the work was done. Tesla had improved the system significantly. He went to Edison to collect his payment. Edison looked at him, then smiled. "Tesla," he said, "you don't understand American humor. There was no $50,000. There had never been any $50,000. Tesla was silent for a long moment. Then he picked up his coat, walked out the door, and never returned. He had been cheated, robbed, by the most famous man in America. For months after that, Tesla had no money, no laboratory, and almost no hope. To survive, he dug ditches on the streets of New York City. The same man who had envisioned a new electrical system for the entire world was being paid $2 a day to dig holes in the ground. But he never stopped thinking, never stopped believing. In 1888, everything changed. A businessman named George Westinghouse heard about Tesla's alternating current motor, and he believed in it immediately. He offered Tesla a real contract, real money, real support. For the first time in years, Tesla had a laboratory, and he went to work. What followed became known as the War of the Currents, one of the most dramatic battles in the history of science and business. On one side, Thomas Edison, powerful, well-funded, fighting to protect his direct current system. On the other side, Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse, pushing for alternating current, a system that could travel hundreds of miles and power entire cities. Edison fought dirty. He held public demonstrations where he electrocuted animals using AC power, trying to convince people that Tesla's system was dangerous. He called AC the current of death. Tesla responded in the most remarkable way. He stood on a public stage and passed alternating current through his own body, lighting up light bulbs in his hands to show the world it was safe. The crowds gasped. Then they applauded. In 1893, the battle reached its climax. The city of Chicago was hosting the World's Fair, the greatest public exhibition in American history. The contract to light up the entire fair was given to Tesla and Westinghouse, using alternating current. When the switch was thrown, over 100 zero-zen light bulbs blazed to life all at once. Hundreds of thousands of people stood in stunned silence, looking at a city glowing in the dark. Tesla had won. And 2 years later, in 1895, he fulfilled the promise of his childhood. He built the first great hydroelectric power station at Niagara Falls, the very waterfall he had pointed to as a boy and said, "One day I will use that to light up cities." He had. But success did not bring Tesla happiness. Not really. He never married. When people asked him why, he would simply say, "I have given my life to science." He believed that emotional attachments would distract him from his work. He lived alone in hotel rooms, always surrounded by papers and calculations instead of family and friends. He gave away enormous amounts of money, including the royalties, the ongoing payments from some of his most important patents, to help Westinghouse during a financial crisis. That decision alone cost Tesla millions of dollars he would never recover. And the project closest to his heart, a tower he built on Long Island called Wardenclyffe Tower, was meant to do something almost unimaginable: transmit electricity wirelessly for free to every person on Earth, free energy for all of humanity. But his financial backers pulled out. The funding disappeared. The tower was eventually torn down. Tesla stood and watched it fall. In his later years, Tesla lived in a small room at the Hotel New Yorker in Manhattan. Every day, he walked through the streets to Bryant Park to feed the pigeons. Among them, there was one, a white pigeon with gray-tipped wings, who would fly to his window every evening. He once said, "I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose in my life." When the white pigeon died, something inside Tesla went quiet. He said it felt like a light going out. On January 7th, 1943, Nikola Tesla was found in his hotel room. He was 86 years old. He had died alone in the night in a room full of papers and unfinished ideas. He had no fortune, no family nearby. No one had been with him. But in his notebooks, in the pages and pages of calculations and designs, were ideas that the world would spend the next century trying to understand. After his death, the United States government moved quickly to secure Tesla's documents and patents. Scientists and engineers began studying his work seriously for the first time. And what they found was staggering. Tesla had described the basic principles of wireless communication, what we now call Wi-Fi and radio signals, before anyone else. He had theorized about remote-controlled machines, what we now call robotics and drones. He had written about a worldwide information network, what we now call the Internet. He had seen the future, clearly, decades before it arrived. Today, his name is everywhere. The unit used to measure magnetic field strength is called the Tesla. The world's most famous electric car company, Tesla, Inc., carries his name as a tribute to his vision of clean, unlimited energy. And Niagara Falls still generates electricity, still powers cities, just as that small, quiet boy once promised his laughing classmates it would. Before we close, let's carry 3 things from Tesla's story into our own lives. First, your vision belongs to you, even when no one else can see it. Tesla was laughed at by classmates, dismissed by professors, and cheated by Edison. None of that erased what he knew was true. Your idea does not need the approval of people who cannot yet see what you see. Second, integrity costs you something, and that is exactly what makes it rare. Tesla gave away millions of dollars in royalties to protect a man who had supported him. He died without a fortune, but he died without regret. Some things matter more than money, and only you can decide what those things are. Third, the world may be slow to understand you. That does not mean you are wrong. Tesla's greatest projects were rejected, abandoned, and torn down during his lifetime. After his death, they became the foundation of the modern world. Time is long. Keep going. Nikola Tesla once said, "The present is theirs. The future, for which I really worked, is mine." He was right. Every time you turn on a light, every time you connect to Wi-Fi, every time you charge a device, or listen to a radio, or see electricity move through wires from a distant power station, you are living inside Nikola Tesla's dream. He did not receive the recognition he deserved while he was alive. But the world he imagined became the world you and I live in every single day. So the next time someone laughs at your idea, remember the boy who looked at Niagara Falls and said, "One day I will use that to light up cities." They laughed at him too. If this story touched you, I would love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, which part of Nikola Tesla's life stayed with you the most? Was it the moment Edison laughed and refused to pay him, and Tesla simply walked away with his dignity? Was it the image of Tesla alone in his hotel room, caring for a white pigeon as if she were his only family? Or was it the sight of 100 zeros and lights blazing to life at the World's Fair? The moment the world finally saw what one man's vision could do. Leave your answer below. I read every single comment. If this story moved you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you are new to Timeless Stories, welcome. Subscribe so you never miss a story. Until next time, keep learning, keep dreaming, and never let anyone tell you your vision is too big. See you in the next story.